Yeah, last time I discussed the Periton, the Piercer, and ended on the giant pike. The rest of this book kind of concentrates a lot of the most iconic monsters. Like, obviously, we've already seen, at this point, we've seen the Beholder and the Mind Flayer and a few other classics, but definitely what we're going to cover today, I think, has a lot of the remaining most famous from the original edition. I like the pixie going after this poor guy. Gonna cut some kneecaps, I guess. Giant porcupine. Nothing terribly exciting about the porcupine except that it does fire its quills, which used to be an actual pretty common misunderstanding of real porcupines. I don't know if that means that normal porcupines can do that in this setting. Maybe just the giant one. Yeah, like half of this book is just giant animals. Later on, they started relegating that to the backs of books and saving the giant animals for, like nowadays, if a big giant porcupine gets an entry in a D&D manual, it'll usually be like a mutant, demonic, like dire porcupine, something more to it. Now, a giant Portuguese man of war, that's a good choice of giant animal. Although there's nothing special about the D&D man of war except that apparently it's completely invisible. Like totally transparent, which is not true of the real thing. The real thing is very colorful. I like the idea that maybe the giant version is just especially transparent in D&D land. Yeah, now it's 6 o'clock my time, so technically this is us like officially starting. So I guess we are starting on the pseudo-dragon. I always liked this little drawing. I like its scorpion tail. I like how its wings kind of look like it's like opening the window with them, like those are its little hands. Pseudo-dragons are found in any clime save the coldest or hottest, when they are found at all. These creatures are rare indeed and highly sought after. They lair in great hollow trees or small caves. The pseudo-dragon can deliver a vicious bite with its small dragon-like jaws, but its major weapon is its sting-equipped tail. This appendage is long and very flexible. The creature can move it with flashing speed. Any creature struck must save versus poison or go into a state of catalepsy which lasts for 1 to 6 days. During this time, the victim appears dead, and there is a 25% chance the creature will actually die. Pseudo-dragons have chameleon-like power, so that they can blend with any typical background and become 80% undetectable to creatures not able to see invisible objects. They can see invisible objects. I mean, really, that's more of an octopus-like power than a chameleon-like power, but we all know what they mean. Magic resistance is an innate characteristic of pseudo-dragons, and they are able to transmit this resistance to a human or humanoid companion when the pseudo-dragon is touching the other creature. A pseudo-dragon communicates by means of a limited form of telepathy. If the pseudo-dragon elects to become a companion of a human or humanoid, it can also transmit what it sees and hears to its companion up to a distance. So this creature exists just to be like a weaker little stand-in for a dragon that is also your friend. I don't know if they still use these in the game. I don't know if pseudo-dragons are still a thing. Yeah, training dragon, like a training bra or training wheels. I don't know. I'm not sure what their like lore or like biology is supposed to be. So then there's another one of my favorites here, the purple worm. This is a... let me zoom in. I really like this illustration. Purple worms burrow deep beneath the ground in a constant search for food. They sense vibrations and move to attack. Generally, only adult specimens are encountered, young or, littler, They return to their lairs to rest, and there they expel such indigestible waste as metal and mineral crystals. A purple worm attacks by biting, and any hit over the required score, in this case, indicates the creature has engulfed its victim. A mature worm can swallow whole a creature as large as 8 feet or so tall and up to 6 feet or so wide, or vice versa. Any creature swallowed will be dead in 6 rounds. The worm will digest its meal in 12 turns, and at that time the creature is totally gone and cannot be raised from the dead. Note, however, that a creature swallowed can try to cut its way out of the purple worm's stomach. Inner armor class of the worm is 9. Each round the creature is in the worm, it subtracts 1 from the damage each of its attacks does. So you get weaker as you're slowly digested inside of the worm. Additionally, the purple worm has a poisonous stinger in its tail. This weapon is used only in rear defense, however, or if the worm is fighting large or numerous opponents in a very spacious area, which will allow it freedom to use its stinger. And just outright kills you with its poison. And there's also the mottled worm, which is just the same thing underwater. Anyway, I think this original design of the purple worm is absolutely perfect. I like that it's just like a big fat earthworm, and then the face just kind of stops abruptly on the mouth. I love the two little buggy eyes and everything. The back of the book, actually, the back cover of this very book has a full color illustration of the purple worm that left a strong impression on me as a child. This is a beautiful rendition of the purple worm, in my opinion. Unfortunately, I'm just not feeling the newer versions of this monster. like it's cool, but it loses the personality. You know, it just kind of looks like any big worm thing I've seen. And the next one is the Quasit. While the Quasit is rare on the material plane, they are not on the planes of Pandemonium and the Abyss. The Quasit is a larva changed into a minor demon form to serve as familiar to a chaotic evil magic user or cleric. Yeah, in this game, the for those who don't know, because the demons are like the evil fiends of chaos, and devils are the evil fiends of order. And devils have imps, but demons have quasits. And Quasit can polymorph itself into a giant centipede, bat, frog, or wolf. The wounds caused by its claws cause a burning itch, which drains 1 from its opponent's dexterity each time it is wounded. So it makes you so itchy that you're like worse. You're worse at fighting, worse at wielding your weapons. So they regenerate, they turn invisible. Although intelligence is low, Quasits are sly and cunning, and in certain situations they are able to call upon the thinking power of a demon lord. Once the Quasit becomes a familiar, it passes along to its master the following: telepathic communication, allows the character to use all senses of the familiar, magic resistance, regeneration, gives you an extra level overall as long as it's like nearby. But if it dies, you lose 4 levels. In addition to its normal advice, the Quasit is able to contact a lower plane once per week in order to help its master decide some course of action. So it can it has like better demons on speed dial for you. If its master dies, it must grab the soul and rush back. Rush back to hell. And the Quasit may get changed back into a mains or larva as punishment. Yeah, I really like this PDF. This PDF's resolution isn't great, but I really like how nasty and sad the Quasit's little face is here. Let me see if I can find a better image of that really quick. Let's see. Quasit AD. Here we go. I think I found one. Yeah, here's a slightly higher detail Quasit. But the link I've given should work. I'm gonna double check it really quick. No, it does have a typo in it. Oh no. I'll just have to reblog that again really quick before I continue. All right. Now the Quasit is a monster that actually still does look good though. It's not as sloppy and gross, but this is the modern Quasit, and I think they did do they did a good job capturing the kind of pitiful personality it originally had. I really like this little face. And there's how little it is. Just a little guy. So the next monster is the Rakshasa. Known first in India. That's once again, this book references places that only exist here on Earth. These evil spirits encased in flesh are spreading. They're fond of a diet of human meat, and as masters of illusion, they can easily gain this end. Able to employ ESP to create the illusion of what those who have encountered them deem friendly. They can then withhold attack until their prey can be taken off guard. I don't think the original mythical Rakshasa is like a tiger guy. I gotta look it up again. I can't remember. Let's see here. Yeah, they're from Hindu mythology. They're basically they're evil. Yeah, they're shape-shifting evil spirits that eat people. I feel like maybe in this illustration the idea was that it was using its power, to look like a friendly tiger guy. But it seems like they've continued to be like tiger people things in D&D ever since. Giant ram. Giant Sumatran rat. Another reference to a real place. Rats of all sorts are common, and the giant Sumatran sort are a plague in many places, such as crypts and dungeons. Their burrows honeycomb many graveyards, where they seek to cheat ghouls of their prizes by tunneling to newly interred corpses. Any creature bitten by a giant rat has a 5% chance of contacting a serious disease. Such infection is indicated the victim is diseased unless a saving throw versus poison is successful. Yeah, this is just a giant rat. And then we have the rays, like the manta ray, The manta ray in D&D is like exactly the same as an actual manta ray, except that it does eat people. It swallows you whole and digests you. And people did believe that at one time. Like hundreds of years ago, manta rays were assumed to be like ravenous sea monsters. I kind of like the idea that, like, earlier we had the giant porcupine that fires its quills. I like the idea that maybe in the D&D world, everything we like falsely assumed about animals in our world is just true, because they're the mythological monster versions, I guess. They didn't really keep to that. Then there's the Pungi ray. That's not a real ray. I think the idea of a drop bear has at least been in Pathfinder. But yeah, the Pungi or Pungi ray is apparently a little ray with like venomous spines on its back. So you can the spines look like seaweed, and you step on them. The stingray is just exactly a stingray, though, just usually harmless, but can kill you with its tail spine if startled. And then we got the Remorhaz. Is that how that's pronounced? Just Remorhaz? I'm just gonna say Remorhaz. This is another classic monster to the setting. Remorhaz, sometimes known as polar worms, inhabit only the chill wastes. They are very aggressive predators. If encountered in its lair, a Remorhaz is likely to have a mate and 1 to 2 eggs. The size of one of these creatures is determined by its hit die. Eggs are valued at 5,000 gold pieces each if you're an asshole. Let's see, in combat, the Remorhaz beats its small wings and rears the front quarter of its body. It then snaps itself forward, striking with blinding speed, and the largest sized specimens are able to swallow prey whole in this manner. Any victim swallowed is instantly killed due to the intense heat in the monster's digestive system. When aroused, the Remorhaz secretes substances internally which cause its intestines to become very hot, and its back protrusions actually glow cherry red with the excess heat. Yeah, I love the idea of this kind of dragon-like, insect-like monster that lives in the ice and snow, but it gets it's like roasting hot inside. It's just a very neat concept. I think that the design, I feel, might have been inspired by like the face of it. I think that might come a little bit from like the old, like the arcade cabinet art for Centipede, but I could be wrong. This is also another one that still looks pretty good in official publications. Let me bring that up a second. Here we go. Yeah, I think this is the 3rd edition design, but this has kind of remained the official design of the Remorhaz, and I think it still looks pretty good. I kind of wish it was still fleshy, like I like how the old one had these little like suckers all over it. It had kind of like a rubbery body and wings. Well, the word arousal was not always just sexual. It used to be more normal to say something was aroused when it was just, when it was riled up or excited, or even just like getting up or waking up. Like if you've been sitting down and you decide to finally get up and do stuff, they used to say, you've been roused. We just kind of drifted away from that in English. But yeah, my only complaint about the modern Remorhaz is that it's too insectoid. Like, obviously I love arthropods, but I liked that the old one, whoops, accidentally put the Quasit in there for a second. I liked that the old one wasn't easy to categorize taxonomically. So there's a rhinoceros. Woolly rhinoceros. There's the rock. I don't remember how you pronounce that. Carrying off an elephant. Roper. Let's see. This is another classic monster to the setting. Ropers inhabit subterranean caverns. They prey upon all forms of creatures, but humans are their favorite form of food. These monsters can stand upright in order to resemble a pillar or stalagmite, or flatten themselves at full length upon the floor, so as to look like nothing more than a hump. The roper has a gizzard-like organ which holds 3 to 8 platinum pieces and can contain 5 to 20 gems. The roper has 6 strands of long, sticky, rope-like excretion which it can shoot. It's interesting that the description says it shoots out these ropes of glue, basically, but they already depicted it as just having tentacles, and it's pretty much just had tentacles ever since. Draws its prey into its toothy maw where it is quickly devoured. Yellowish-gray monster appears to be a mass of foul, festering corruption. Cigar-shaped. Yeah, nowadays they also just look exactly like rock. Not like festering corruption. This is another one that had a bendy toy around this time, which I think I have a picture of somewhere. And the toy has kind of a different idea already of what a roper looks like. But here we go. Here's the first official merchandise of what they called the Raging Roper for ages 4 and over. This, as you can see, this interprets it more as kind of like a slug or a worm with a little cyclops head on it. I actually have one of these myself somewhere. Yeah, it does not look happy to be bothered. Let's see. And then we've got really good ones on this page. This is a page of solid hits. So then our next one is the rot grub. Rot grubs are occasionally found in heaps of offal or dung. They are rarely found in ceilings, walls, or floors. This is my favorite sentence in the entire book. These small creatures will viciously burrow into any living flesh which touches them, for they greatly enjoy such fare to dine upon. I really like that I really like that wording. That we had to. I'm glad to know they enjoy it. That they aren't just putting on a show because they feel like they have to. I'd hate to be a bother and feel like the rot grubs are going out of their way for me, but as long as they enjoy what they're doing. Yeah, if you don't burn them out of your flesh or use a cure disease spell, you will die as soon as any of the rot grubs reach your heart. And they don't get a little picture here because they got a whole bottom of the page illustration here with this guy having a terrible day. I mean, they're having a good time. We've already been told that they greatly enjoy this. So this is a good day for these little guys. I love the little snail antennas here on this one. Actually, not really anything like a botfly. A botfly actually does not burrow necessarily. With botflies, the adult fly gets an egg on the skin of its host. Some of them lay the egg directly. Some botflies actually attach the eggs to mosquitoes and allow the mosquito to deliver the maggots. But a botfly maggot actually it pushes its way just under your skin when it's almost like microscopic, and it stays there. Botflies don't actually eat your flesh. They just kind of form like a blister that they live in, and what the botfly maggot eats is all of the fluid your body produces to fill that gap. It's basically a botfly eats pus, basically. I'm sorry if some of you sat down with a big hot dinner to enjoy for this stream. I might not have considered that. But yeah, botflies are technically harmless. They do hurt. They hurt, but they don't really kill you. In fact, a botfly also keeps its little blister chamber mostly sterile. Botflies have an antiseptic secretion, so they keep it clean. They're very tidy little tenants. Not like the rot grub. The rot grub is probably does not care because it already intends to kill you, and it already came from a pile of feces. This guy, I don't know what this guy expected. Presumably he went arm deep in a big old heap of, Sadly, this is another monster that is no longer given its own stats in this game. I think it's another one that's just treated as a hazard or a trap, which I always disagree with. I think no matter how small a creature is, it should be treated as an actual monster or beast. But yeah, I guess we've lingered on the rot grub long enough. The next is the highly celebrated rust monster. Yeah, that is another good question though. Why does he have short sleeve chainmail and no other protection? Especially if he was gonna dig around in dragon crap or whatever he did. But yeah, that could be. It could also be a rust monster. Rust monster ate his sleeve, and then the rot grubs ate his arm. But yeah, the original Rust Monster is another absolutely perfect design, even though it is technically plagiarized. Yeah, a lot of people know that the Rust Monster was another one that was originally a plastic toy. Here's mine in its natural habitat. I explained this in the previous streams as well, but these toys were sold as just generic monster toys in Japan. Yeah, basically the guys who playtested the original game, they had a bunch of these they were using as miniatures, and they just they took one look at this weird rust-colored bug, frog, armadillo thing, and they were like, you know what, that's a Rust Monster. And I strongly appreciate that. I definitely feel like I might have come to the same conclusion in the same situation. Yeah, later editions made the Rust Monster like a baby rust dragon. I don't know if I agree with that, really. Let's see. Rust monsters inhabit only dark subterranean places. They roam such places in search of their food, metals of all sorts, but principally ferrous-based metals such as iron, steel, and steel alloys. If the rust monster touches the metal with its two antennae, blah, 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 it rusts or corrodes the metal. Note that magically endowed items gain a saving throw, chance to not be affected. Metal affected rusts or corrodes and immediately falls to pieces. Weapons striking a rust monster are affected just as if the creature's antenna had touched them. Rust monsters can smell metal at a distance and will stop for a melee round to devour such items as a handful of iron spikes or a mace if a fleeing party throws them away. I did put together newer rust monsters to look at here. These are some of the major design changes they've gone through. Second edition made it more like a little cricket, a little insect. Pretty decent, but just like the Remorhaz, I definitely prefer that the rust monster be kind of its own thing, like distinct from any obvious phylum of animal life. Third edition Rust Monster kind of moved away from just being like a little silverfish and made it a bit bulkier again, but the newest Rust Monster, the bottom one here, you know, if you're not going to use the old school design, I think this is a pretty good one. I really love that happy little face. I like its greasy looking exoskeleton, and it definitely feels more like some kind of alien creature than just like a big bug. This design also shows up in that movie that recently came out, but only for a split second. Yeah, I don't know if they've ever necessarily explained what it corrodes metal with, but I don't think it's magic. So yeah, this is one of the best pages in the book. You got the roper, the rock grub, and the rust monster. It's a shame we have to leave it behind. Sahuagin. So I'm probably butchering that pronunciation. Sometimes referred to as sea devils or devil men of the deep. Predatory in the extreme, posing a threat to all living things because they kill for sport and pleasure as well as for food. There's a whole lot said about these fish guys. It's all pretty much just to say that they are evil fish guys. Although, yeah. Last couple streams we saw a lot of, like, these evil, allegedly evil sapient races that, the description sounded more like a human wrote about them and made a lot of negative presumptions. This is especially unfortunate with the Sahuagin. Let me find it here. Yeah, they're just like cannibals and torturers and chronicled because of their evil, having time and again raided the land, desolating whole coasts, and of course destroying passing ships continually. The exact origin is unknown. It is suggested they were created from a nation of particularly evil humans by the most powerful of evil gods in order to preserve them when the deluge came upon the earth. So, like Noah's flood, like, this entry was written by like a Christian, who implying these were like the godless people exterminated from the earth. They also they take creatures alive and force them to fight to the death for sport. Cruel and brutal. The strongest. Oh yeah, this is the most uncomfortable statement made in this whole book. The Sahuagin are cruel and brutal, the strongest always bullying the weaker. Any injured, disabled, or infirm specimen will be slain and eaten by these cannibalistic monsters. Even imperfect hatchlings are dealt with in this fashion. This strict law has developed a strong race, however. Okay, more than we want to know about the guy writing this. I guess he just, he admires that part. He admires that they, yeah. Yes, like if I found this as like an actual historic tome or something in a fantasy land, I would immediately suspect that these guys are not as bad as this writing implies. I mean, they're supposed to be evil because they sink ships. Like, how do we know that the ships aren't like screwing up their ecosystem or something? Yeah, then we got the Salamander, another allegedly always evil race of beings. Pretty cool looking though. I always liked the little frills and cilia wriggling around off the salamander. Creatures of the elemental plane of fire. They come to the material plane occasionally for purposes known only to them. Salamanders hate cold, preferring temperatures of 300 degrees upwards. Is that Celsius or Fahrenheit? I think that makes a bit of a difference. They can abide lower temperatures only for a few hours. Their lair is typically at least 500 degrees temperature, and such treasure as is found there will be the sort to survive such heat. The human-like upper body has a armor class of 5. Typically attacks with a metal spear. Can lash out and coil around an opponent with its snake-like tail. So yeah, just like snake tail people who are like really, really hot, like literally hot. I'm sure a lot of people think that they're, hot the other way as well. Satyr. We know what a satyr is. Goat man. Goat guy. Giant scorpion. Glad this illustrator got the correct number of limbs on a scorpion. That isn't always the case in artwork. Sea hag. Sea hags are reclusive and hate beauty, so their lairs are likely to be in dismal, ugly places. So opinionated. So ghastly looking as to make a creature weak from fright. Can also cast a deadly glance. Sea lion. Fearsome carnivores which inhabit coastal marine waters. So if this is a sea lion, what do they call our sea lions in this world? Shadow, horrible undead creatures. Yeah, just a shadow, a scary undead shadow. Giant seahorse. Herbivorous marine creature is already wrong. Seahorses are all carnivorous in real life. Can be trained to serve as steeds, which is also questionable because seahorse is like the absolute slowest fish. Yeah, well, they already had hippocampus earlier in this book, so the giant seahorse is apparently just an actual proper giant seahorse. And there's a couple of sea lions, and a shark having a bad day. There's another good one, the Shambling mound. This is another of my favorite illustrations in this book. I love its little beady eyes and its little tube nose. I like how it's kind of falling apart here. Shambling mounds or shamblers are found in dismal marshes or certain wet subterranean places. They are omnivorous, feeding upon any living material via their weird roots and tendrils. They attack fearlessly, clubbing with their limbs twice per melee round. If a shambler's clubbing attacks hit a single opponent, the victim is entangled and will be suffocated in the creature's slime. The brain of the shambler is located in its mid-portion, and its thick fibrous layers make it difficult to penetrate to its only vital area. As it is wet and slimy, fire has no effect. Lightning causes it to grow, and cold does only 1/2 or no damage. All weapons score only 1/2 damage. It can flatten itself so that crushing has small effect. Spells which affect plants are effective against shambling mounds. Shambling Mound, Title Known mentioned Man-Thing, so there I did actually prepare a picture of Man-Thing for comparison, and I think Man-Thing's earliest publication is earlier than the Shambling Mound, so you would think that that was the inspiration, but surprisingly enough, this one was another plastic toy that they found during playtesting. Except these were sold as lava men for a set of toys called the Dragon Riders of the Styx. You can Google that and see some of the other little figures. Unfortunately I don't care for any of the newer depictions of this one either. Like the newer Shambling Mound isn't bad, but I find it just a little too ordinary, a little too like cool and scary. I miss the little mosquito face. Yeah, I like it being this tall, awkward, kind of almost kind of mummy-like thing, like something that doesn't really look all that stealthy or fast or strong. Yeah, reviewing more stuff from 40K would probably be fun sometime. I'll say sharks. Shadu travel about the world, seeking to further the ends of lawful good. And here's the Shrieker. I talked about the Shrieker earlier when the violet fungus came up earlier in the book. Shriekers are normally quiet, mindless fungus, which are ambulatory. They live in dark places beneath the ground. Light or movement will cause them to emit a piercing shriek, which lasts for 1 to 3 melee rounds. This noise has a 50% chance of attracting wandering monsters each round thereafter. Purple worms and shambling mounds greatly prize Shrieker as food. Yeah, this is another one of my favorites that I feel is underappreciated. I definitely thought of these as kind of iconic in this book. They've kind of become obscure. I love the little suckers, little noise holes. And the mention that they're ambulatory means that they presumably can walk around. They have a movement rating. So yeah, they're slow, but they aren't stationary. So these are like little stumpy little feet, and I imagine the way they walk around has to be adorable, right? Like little caterpillar toes. I wonder if they walk like straight ahead, or they kind of like rotate. You know, the way the little feet are arranged, I imagine while they walk, they probably like slowly spin around. Skeleton saying hi to his bud. Magically animated undead monsters enchanted by a powerful magic user or cleric of evil alignment. Nothing too remarkable about the skeleton's original write-up here. Pretty much what you expect. Giant skunk. Another giant animal. Otherwise, exactly just a very big skunk. Slithering tracker. This monster is transparent and almost impossible to discover. It inhabits dungeons and other dark places and does not normally attack its prey immediately. The tracker usually follows the chosen victim to the place where the victim sleeps, and only when its prey is asleep will it strike. Because of its semi-fluid body, the slithering tracker can flow through openings as small as a rat hole or a large crack under a door. Attack is by contact with the exposed flesh of its prey, and the secretions of the monster will paralyze the victim unless a saving throw versus paralyzation is made. Once the victim is immobilized, the tracker will draw all the plasma from the body of its prey. Yeah, they consider this an ooze now, but I kind of like the slithering tracker as like its own thing. Like, not every gooey, shapeless creature should be, taxonomically an ooze, in my opinion. But yeah, next we have the giant slug, which is another of the best illustrations in the book. Very, very accurate slug too. It's got the mantle and the little rim. It's got a keel on it. A lot of slugs do have a keel, although none of them have a keel that's this obvious, like a big fin down the back. The only thing inaccurate is the mouth, but I love this little mouth here. Just an excellent giant slug. Giant slugs dwell away from light, preferring the depths of dungeons and similar places. Giant slugs are able to eat substances like wood or burrow through very hard earth using their rasp-like tongues. Although they are a great bulk, giant slugs are able to squeeze through very narrow or low openings, for they have no bones to prohibit such alteration of shape. Although able to bite with effect, the major weapon of these creatures is a highly corrosive acid saliva, which they are able to spit with considerable accuracy at great distance. Yeah, it's not just giant slug, it's a giant slug that spits acid. It's a great thing for a giant slug to do. Fortunately, the giant slug is always inaccurate on its first attack. They just said it can spit with considerable accuracy, but apparently it usually misses on the first try. Can sometimes be caught in a narrow corridor where they are unable to turn. That is not true. A slug can always turn around in anywhere that it can fit in real life. They just kind of bend in on themselves. Giant snake. The first giant snake is the Amphisbaena, with a head at both ends. Both heads are armed with poisonous fangs. Travels by grasping one of its necks and rolling like a hoop. Oh, they got the hoop snake in there too. They didn't include the most interesting thing about the original Amphisbaena, though. In folklore, the Amphisbaena is supposed to be so poisonous that it actually turns any water it touches into poison. In fact, I think the oldest stories of this animal had it where it lives in deserts, and it finds like an oasis, like a little spring, and it poisons it so that it poisons water in desert environments so that everything that comes to drink dies, and that's that's its food source. Constrictor snake. Poisonous snake. What, like you can't eat it? Sea snake. Nice picture of a big, huge sea snake. destroying a ship. Spitting snake. Can emit a poisonous spittle. Spectre. So just a spooky ghost guy. Okay, now we're on the Sphinxes. Androsphinx. The male or Androsphinx is a very powerful and large creature. Has the ability to use clerical spells. They usually shun the company of gynosphinxes, for they resent the female's greater intelligence and neutral alignment. Wait, what's the Androsphinx's alignment? Oh, chaotic good. So the male is chaotic good, but the female is neutral, and he's not a fan of that centrism. Centrism is a big turnoff to every Androsphinx. Yeah, Sphinx cell. Basically attacks with a roar. A series of roars. The creature must be aroused and angry to utter the first, very angry to roar again, and infuriated to cut loose with the third roar. The first roar causes all creatures to flee in panic. The second roar is louder still, causes paralyzation, as well as deafening. And the third roar causes creatures to lose some points of strength. Then there's the Cryosphinx. The Cryosphinx is a ram-headed creature which is likely to be found in wooded areas. These creatures prize wealth and will usually seek to extort passersby, safe passage for a hefty bribe. In combat, they attack with either their 2 forepaws or a great butt with their horned head. The Cryosphinx lusts after gynosphinxes, but the latter find them detestable. Is that because of their alignment? What is their alignment? Cryosphinx. Oh, the Cryosphinx is also neutral, but I guess the Gynosphinx still isn't into that. It isn't into the goat head. But the illustration for the Gynosphinx is one of the most naked in the book. I don't know if it's really detailed enough to matter on Twitch, but there you go. There's the Gynosphinx. Looking a little judgmental. Female counterpart to the Androsphinx. They are both knowledgeable and wise. As they are neutral and prize gems and similar wealth, they will only help humans if they are paid, although they will sometimes accept payment in the form of riddles, poetry, prose, knowledge, or the location of an Androsphinx. So you can dox an Androsphinx as payment for the Gynosphinx's knowledge and intel. I really like that. You can help her breach the restraining order, I guess. If payment is not made, the Sphinx will not hesitate to devour the offender. So you better have the right docs. Gynosphinx able to use the following spells. Speak all the languages known to the males of their kind. And then there's the Sphinx, hawk-headed, evil, and rapacious. They are found in hilly regions. They prey on warm-blooded creatures. But yeah, it does look like Sam the Eagle. Attack with forepaws and beak. Highly value treasure. Not that much to the Sphinx, except that it's like the evil one. Yeah, then we got the spiders here. Giant, huge, large phase, and water. Giant spiders are web builders, construct their sticky traps horizontally or vertically, as to entrap any creature which touches the web. The bite of a giant spider is venomous. Flee from an encounter with a superior foe. Huge spider. The typical huge spider is not a web builder, but a roving hunter such as a wolf spider. It can leap upon prey and deliver its deadly bite. Large spider. These creatures scuttle and scurry about. I'm glad that we know that. I'm glad we know that they scuttle and scurry about, in and out of their webs, always searching for victims. Phase spider. Although these monsters appear to be nothing more than very great spiders, they are something quite beyond this. When attacking or being attacked, the phase spider is able to shift out of phase with its surroundings, bringing itself back only when it is ready to deliver its venomous bite. When out of phase, they are impervious to nearly all forms of attack, although a phase door spell will cause one to remain in phase for 7 rounds. Oil of etherealness and armor of etherealness also put their wearers into the same phase as this monster when it shifts out of phase. As the giant water spider, found only in large lakes, build great nests of air amidst underwater vegetation. These spiders are able to run along the bottom or up and down vegetable or mineral surfaces underwater. They snatch passing prey, deliver a venomous bite, and bring the victim to their lair to be drained at leisure. The clever airlock allows free passage without loss of vital air. On occasion, such water creatures as nixies will be on friendly terms with giant water spiders, for they are semi-intelligent and can be approached with offerings of food. I like that the water spider can be nice, can be your friend. Now, spiders also have only the second and last full-page illustration in this book. Previous one, I think, was for the kobolds. But yeah, the spiders were important enough to get one of the 2 big illustrations. Very, very cool-looking spider, even if it is very, very inaccurate. But I have a soft spot for weird, scientifically wrong spider monster faces. Sprite. Sprites dwell in meadows and wooded glens. Just sprites. Just little sprites. Giant squid. Actually, interesting that they had giant octopuses earlier in the book, and they still have giant squid as their own entry. Giant squid inhabit deep waters, preferring depths of a half-mile or more. Aggressive hunters that occasionally surface to attack large prey. They fear only the hugest of sperm whales, for the latter hunt giant squids and kill them with ease. I don't think sperm whales got an entry in this book, though. Body is protected by a hard shell. That's not quite right. Squid does have an internal shell called the pen, but they don't have like a external shell. Stags. Giant stags. Okay, next one's another really good one, the Sturge. Sturges are found only in very dark, tangled forests or in subterranean layers. They lay in wait for warm-blooded creatures, swoop down, and when their long, sharp proboscis is attached, the blood of the victim is drawn through to be eaten. I like that wording. They could just say, it drinks blood, sucks blood, but no, the blood of the victim is drawn through to be eaten. Sturges attack as if they were creatures with 4 hit dice rather than 1+1. Bloated with blood, a Sturge draining 12 hit points worth will flap off to digest its repast. The only method to detach a Sturge from its prey is to kill it. So, the Sturge is kind of a corruption of the concept of a Strix, or I think that also can be called a Strigoi, or those might be different things. Basically, there's a quasi-mythical creature that's like a vampiric bird, but it's believed to just be a misunderstanding of an ordinary owl. So, yeah, there was a belief at one time that an owl was vampiric and associated with like witches and demons, and it was called a Strix, or sometimes a Strig. But yeah, in D&D, the Sturge is its own thing, and it's like a bat, bird, mosquito, and I adore how miserable this thing looks. I love its like dirty witch hair and its like jowly face and big eyebrows, and I really like its little like its little bendy, rubbery little legs. And this is another one that has also like it's gone through lots of redesigns, but it has never looked bad. Like it has always knocked it out of the park with these. As you can see, there was like a more insect-looking Sturge in 2nd edition, not bad. Still had the hair, had these cool little multifaceted-looking like wasp eyes. 3rd edition was my favorite. I think it captured the spirit of the original the best. Also kind of reminded me of Brundlefly from the 1980s Jeff Goldblum Fly movie. It gets a little confusing. First there was Dungeons and Dragons. Then there was this edition we are reading, which is Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. But the one that came afterwards is considered 2nd edition. So it's like 2nd edition Advanced D&D. Yeah, the 3rd one here is the 3.5 or 4th edition. I think I kind of lose track of how many editions it's gone through, but yeah, this Sturge has a pretty decent amount of personality. Looks very Jim Henson-y to me, like something out of the Dark Crystal. And then the last one here isn't necessarily my favorite, but it's still decent. It's got a kind of anteater look to it. I like how like ragged and torn up the wings are. So yeah, the Sturge has always been a perfect angel baby. I love them very much. Of all the D&D creatures, I would accept a Sturge as a real life pet. Pretty much tied with any of my other favorites. Strangleweed. You know, of all the things in this book, I think the strangleweed is the one I have completely forgotten exists. Strangleweed is a intelligent kelp. How intelligent? Animal intelligence. Okay, it's not that intelligent. Pretty intelligent for kelp, I guess. Pretty much just wraps around and strangles you, though. It's just exactly what it sounds like. So we got the Sioux monster. Sioux monsters inhabit forsaken wilderness areas and subterranean layers as well. They have prehensile tails which they use to swing from limb to limb or to hang upside down. From such a position they can attack with all 4 of their clawed feet as well as their jaws. All 4 feet are prehensile and armed with long and extremely sharp nails. Sioux monsters are at home upright or hanging upside down, the latter being one of their favorite methods of lurking for prey. Yeah, they're just like nasty monkey things. Oh, but they have a latent psionic ability, which enables them to deliver some form of psionic attack once per day. Psychic Crush, Psionic Blast, or Mind Thrust. So next we have the Sylph, and this is the most nudity in the entire book. If this were a higher resolution scan, you would be able to see everything. This is they drew the genitalia on the Sylph. It's kind of weird. Not very well. It's very, very poor understanding, but they tried. Beautiful creatures similar to nymphs. The Sylphs, however, dwell in aerial places. Fond of flitting about, not likely that they will be encountered near the place where they dwell. They befriend creatures of good alignment, and they can conjure an air elemental. And then we got a little bonus illustration of the Sturges. I really appreciate how happy they look. This one's not happy. This one's having a bad time, but these Sturges are having a good time. That man deserves what he gets after what he did to Sturge number 5, if you ask me. Oh, okay. Next monster is actually my favorite in the book. Anyone who didn't already just see me scroll down to it is going to have no idea what this thing is from the name Thought Eater. But now there's the Thought Eater. There's my favorite special boy. Thought Eaters are dwellers in the ether. Their senses, however, extend into the physical plane, and any psionic or psionic-related energy used in either area will attract their attention. The Thought Eater appears to be something like a sickly gray, skeletal-bodied, enormous-headed platypus to those who are able to observe it. Its webbed paws allow it to swim through the ether. It can be attacked only by ethereal creatures. Its only desire is to feed on the mental energy of prey it is attracted to, and if it comes within whatever of any creature in the ethereal or physical planes, it will be able to absorb any psionic or spell energy they attempt to use. At closer range, the Thought Eater is able to begin feeding on the actual thoughts of even non-psionic creatures. Each Thought Eater is able to consume from 101 to 200 psionic energy points before becoming sated. Note that if it feeds on thoughts, the creature loses intelligence permanently. At intelligence 0, the creature is dead. 1 equals mindlessness, 2 idiocy, 3 imbecility, and an intelligence of 4 is equivalent to a low-grade moron. I don't think these are actually like different technical measures, but you know, who am I to nitpick? How dare they call them horrid things here? Yeah, this monster appeared only like one more time in well, it appeared 2 more times. Let me bring this up. So the next time they published the Thought Eater, it was fully a skeleton, and it's all right, but it's not nearly as charming, I'd say. But by 3rd edition, they ruined it completely. They butchered it mercilessly. They decided, I guess, that it was too silly or something, and they tried to make it like cool, in quotations, cool. So they made it like this big, scary, like undead eagle head skeleton lion thing. I strongly disagree with everything that went into this decision. The Thought Eater is perfect exactly as it is. Yeah, it's not a bad. The new one isn't a bad design, but the point of the Thought Eater, as far as I'm concerned, is that it is not menacing. It is not impressive. It looks pathetic. It looks ridiculous, but it does do an incredibly terrifying thing. And I think I think they should want it to look silly, because you know it's an ethereal creature. It's like it's like a Baku, like the dream-eating tapirs. You know, it's a weird, like dreamy entity, and I think they should have just gone all in with it looking silly like that. I appreciate that there exists the presence of giant ticks in this book. Ticks don't get a lot of respect as interesting arthropods. You don't see them as monsters all that often in anything. It's surprising how rarely you see them. I think like Fallout 76 is one of the first games I've seen accurate giant ticks. You know, first video games. But not much to them here. They just live in forests, occasionally in caves, drop on prey, insert their hollow mouth tube, and suck blood from the victim. And yeah, it transmits disease. Tigers, titans. We don't care about tigers and titans around here. Titanothere, another prehistoric creature, oddly left out of the dinosaur section, even though the dinosaur section did include some mammals and other non-dinosaurs. Giant toads. Funny they have a separate entry in this book for giant frog, and then later they have the giant toad. There's the regular giant toad that just kind of eats you. The ice toad radiates cold. And the poisonous toad, indistinguishable from non-poisonous toad. But the poisonous toad bites, apparently. I mean, real toads are poisonous, but apparently the poisonous toad in D&D is venomous. And they get a nice picture here of the giant toad. Another guy having a bad day. And then we have the Trapper. This is another good one here. Trappers are clever monsters found only in caves, caverns, and other dark places. They prefer a subterranean habitation to all others. They shape their flat bodies to conform to the floor surface of their abode. Being of a consistency almost as hard as stone, trappers are nearly impossible to detect by any normal means. Usually a trapper will wait until its prey is near its center, where it often creates a protuberance which resembles a chest or box. It then suddenly closes itself upon the unsuspecting victims. The trapper crushes them, doing a base damage of 4 plus the armor class of the victim. Those entrapped are unable to use weapons, for the great musculature of the trapper prevents it. Prey will be smothered in 6 rounds. It must be killed or faced with certain death to make it free its prey. These are basically a lot like the lurker we looked at earlier, or like last stream we looked at, but they're like on the ground instead of on a ceiling. I think later publications rolled the two of them together, and now the Trapper, I'm not sure they still use it at all. Maybe they do. I think I might have seen a miniature of it not that long ago. But yeah, in most cases, it seems like the Mimic has kind of replaced a lot of these more specialized mimicry monsters, and that's another decision I just don't agree with. I like the richer ecosystem of things pretending to be other things. Trent. I like how Gygax just took the Ent from Lord of the Rings and put tree on the name. Real clever. Yeah, real masterful there. Trents. Strangely related to humans and trees, combining features of both species. A Trent lair will typically be a vast cave, screened by many plants and trees. Why would a tree person live in a cave? Triton. Yeah, I like the Trent lift. He's just gonna tear this guy in half, basically. Troglodyte. Troglodytes are a race of reptilian humanoids who dwell in subterranean places. They loathe humans, and their aim is to slaughter all whom they encounter. I like the I like the idea in D&D that the term troglodyte refers to a little lizard guy for some reason. I like the big fin on the back of its head. When aroused for battle, troglodytes emit a secretion which smells extremely disgusting to humans, including dwarves, elves, gnomes, half-elves, and halflings. Humans who fail a saving throw versus poison are affected by revulsion so as to lose a point of strength per round. Troglodytes have a chameleon-like power, so they can change their skin coloration to shades of gray, brown, or green. They thus surprise on a 1 to 4 unless they are angry and excreting their stench. They're bigger than I thought. I kind of thought they were like little guys. Unless this is like a halfling or something. What's it say about their... I don't know, size M, like medium human size. Troll! Oh yeah, here's the D&D troll. Trolls are hearted carnivores found in nearly every clime. They are feared by most creatures as a troll knows no fear and attacks unceasingly. Their sense of smell is acute, their infravision superior, and their strength is great. Attacks with its clawed forelimbs and great teeth. Yeah, the main thing about the trolls is that they regenerate really well. They can even reattach their limbs, and if you chop them into pieces, all the pieces can still attack. Parts will slither and scuttle together, rejoin, and the troll will arise whole and ready to continue combat. A nauseating moss green, the writhing hair-like growth. I love how bizarre these trolls actually are. You think of trolls now, and they're usually... In most fantasy settings, a troll is just kind of a big guy, you know, a big muscular guy, or a goblin-like, orc-like creature. But yeah, here in the original D&D, the trolls were just these really, really weird, like slimy, filthy green, like kind of corpse-like, but it's like they follow like flatworm rules, basically. You cut them up and they just keep coming. They also had like empty eye sockets. Like, that's not just the drawing. That's how they were actually supposed to look. Like, they just had like black pits instead of eyes. The weird kind of ghoulish alien look to them kind of only lasted into that second edition. This is the second edition illustration. I feel like this thing should still be around as like its own monster, maybe. Oh yeah, there's no reason troll couldn't be like an infinite food source for mind flayers. Maybe they don't taste good. Maybe their brains are nasty. Yeah, I like the wormy hair especially. Turtles, giant sea turtles, giant snapping turtles. Not much to the turtles. Umber Hulk. This is another classic, the Umber Hulk. In fact, real quick, let me go find one of the newer illustrations of these, because I definitely ought to include that. But Let's see. Umber hulks are subterranean predators. Their iron-like claws enable them to burrow through solid stone and through loam at fully 6 times that rate. Their prey includes young purple worms, ankeg, and similar monsters. However, the favorite prey of Umber hulks are humans. That's kind of a given at this point. Everything prefers to eat humans in this setting. I don't know what makes humans so delicious, but they attack with claws and powerful mandibles. Worse still, any intelligent creature which views the Umber hulk's 4 eyes squarely must save versus magic or be confused for 3 to 12 melee rounds. These creatures have their own language. So, yeah, it's a big bulky humanoid thing with, it's got two little regular eyes and 2 like insect eyes, and then it has like mandibles, and it's confusing to look at its face. That's pretty much all there was to it originally. It's claimed that the Umber hulk is another one that came from those plastic toys, but supposedly it's this one on the far left, this red dinosaur here, which you can't tell in the picture, but it does have insect mandibles. I don't know why, if that is what inspired the Umber hulk. I don't know why its design was changed that much compared to some of the others. But nowadays, the Umber hulk has a very charming newer design. It's another one that goes more insect, but I don't mind in this case. It still looks fairly weird, like it's not truly just a bug. I love how the big multifaceted eyes have this like little crease in the middle, so they look almost like perpetually shut eyelids. I've seen that on a few different monster designs. I always liked that. But the big thing about the Umber hulks these days in D&D lore is that they are like they're like the chosen slave race of, I think, the Mind Flayers and a couple other monsters. Yeah, they're compound eyes, but they have kind of a division to them, and I just always liked that aesthetic to it. Yeah, I might be thinking of the fact that they are the slave race of the Neogi, which are like spider eel creatures. They got like moray eel heads. They're not in this book, unfortunately. They came later. Unicorn. Just a unicorn. Vampire. The most dreaded of the chaotic evil undead is the night-prowling vampire. Neogi, I was pretty sure, appear in either the Monster Manual 2 or the Fiend Folio. So they were, I think, before Spelljammer. But yeah, this is just the typical vampire we all know. The Dracula the Bela Lugosi vampire. Giant wasps. Giant wasps are feared because they continually hunt for prey, both to devour and to place in a paralyzed state with their eggs. Other giant insects are most often victims, but even humans are not immune. Certain wasps build mud cases for their eggs, but those which build paper nests are the ones which are most feared, for their lair will contain 21 to 40 adult wasps. More or less accurate. Water weird. I always remember this one pretty well. I think this is kind of a more obscure monster these days. The water weird are a life form originating in the elemental plane of water. They attack all living things, feeding from their essences in some unknown manner. The creature forms in 2 melee rounds from the water, appearing as a serpent, and lashes out, striking as a 6-hit dice monster. Any creature struck will be dragged into the water unless it saves versus paralyzation. Yeah, the water weird was just some living water that feeds on your life force kinda, and just kind of looks like a snake. And they did bring that back, I think more recently. What's weird is that in 4th edition they decided the water weird should look like a humanoid lady instead of a snake. I don't know why they decided that. They went back on it, thankfully, because it was kind of pointless. They also naturally decided that there would be weirds for all the other elements, like fire weird and earth weird, and I don't really like that, actually. I feel like every elemental creature should not necessarily be a cycle or pattern. I'd kind of rather see more of them that are just belong to one element. Giant weasel. Oh, there's whales. I was wrong. There are whales in this book. Whales, great and small, populate the oceans. Many are plant eaters. There are no plant-eating whales. All types of whales are flesh-eating monsters in real life, in our world. Whales only crave flesh. All forms of whales are very dangerous if molested. White. The term white has lost its old meaning of a person and come to stand for those undead humans who typically inhabit burial mounds or catacombs. That's a real detail. White, with the spelling, I do believe, was just a term for humans. I forget in what language. These creatures are most evil and hateful, seeking to destroy any life form they encounter. They exist simultaneously on the normal and negative planes of the material plane, and are affected only by silver or magical weapons. Will-o'-the-wisp. Will-o'-wisps commonly haunt deserted, dangerous places such as bogs, fens, swamps, or catacombs where mires, quicksand, pit traps, and the like are plentiful. A victim trapped by these hazards feeds the will-o'-wisp as it expires, for the thing feeds upon the fleeing life force. Thus, will-o-wisps seek to lure prey to their doom. Can attack, causing electrical damage. Able to grow bright or very dim in order to confuse prey. A glowing sphere looking like a lantern. What are these supposed to be now in D&D? I think they still exist in the game, but like, have they been like categorized as like a elemental creature or a spirit or anything like that? I'm looking it up myself. Oh, they are considered undead, apparently. Aberrations would be more interesting. They seem to me more like they should be, yeah, that's a lot better. I don't think I like that they've changed them to undead. I think it's a lot cooler to think of them as kind of something alien. Windwalker. Another invisible thing from the elemental plane of air. It's like the third or fourth one in this book. Wolves. Oh, they've got the warg from Lord of the Rings, but they or from Tolkien, but they spelled it different. It's got a O instead of a O instead of A. Often found in cooperation with goblins. Yeah, just the wargs from Tolkien. Wolverines. Wolverines inhabit only colder regions, which is fortunate for mankind, for these animals are horrible. They are vicious, hateful, destructive carnivores who kill for the sheer love of ending another creature's life. Why are Wolverines like evil bastards? Yeah, neutral evil. A Wolverine can squirt its disgusting musk at any opponent at its rear. A Wolverine will purposefully destroy food or human goods of any sort by spraying musk upon the unwanted items. So why is the Wolverine such a bastard? Wraith. I like the illustration of the Wraith with just the little glowing eyes. Undead similar in nature to wights, but they exist more strongly on the negative material plane. They are found only in dark and gloomy places, for they have no power in full sunlight. In addition to the chilling effect of its touch, a Wraith drains on life energy at the rate of 1 per hit. Similarly, the Wraith can be struck only with silver weapons. If a Wraith drains all life energy levels from a human, the victim becomes a half-strength Wraith under the control of the Wraith which drained it. Wyvern. Another nice drawing. I like the Wyvern being mostly in shadow, carrying some kind of hoofed mammal. Distantly related to dragons, these monsters also inhabit places favored by dragons. Tangled forests, great caverns, and the like. They are rather stupid, but very aggressive, and wyverns will always attack. Lashes with its sting-equipped tail at 1 or 2 opponents. Struck by the tail, save poison or die. Yeah, I like that the wyvern has a scorpion stinger in D&D. Kind of like the pseudo-dragon earlier. Although personally, I've never been a fan of like the strong distinction between wyvern and dragon. I've seen a lot of people on the internet actually like pedantic about that, as if it's kind of an official thing in mythology. And like, for one thing, there's no rules to mythology. There's no real canon. There isn't really that hard a distinction between like what is and isn't a dragon. But yeah, I personally like dragons without front limbs myself. Some people feel that if it doesn't have front limbs, it can only be called a wyvern. I feel that a dragon can have whatever number of limbs. But we are already at the end of the book here. There are only 3 monsters left. One of them is the Zorn here, which is really cool. The final 2 aren't as interesting, so I'm gonna save the Zorn for last. We're gonna end on the Zorn. So for now, we're gonna skip a little bit to look at the Yeti. There's the Yeti. Does not really look like any Yeti I've seen elsewhere. It has kind of like a bear head, or like more of like a baboon kind of face. Not much to them, except oh yeah, if you look into its eyes, you become rigid with fright. And the very last monster in this book is the zombie, which is just a zombie, just a magically animated corpse. It does not turn you into a zombie by biting or anything. It's not an infectious zombie. Yeah, zombies in later editions stopped being their own monster and started being just like a status you could give basically any creature, which makes more sense, in my opinion. But yeah, we'll take a step back, and here's the Zorn. The Zorn are a race of creatures found on the elemental plane of Earth, but on rare occasions they will abide on the material plane for a time. When so doing, they seek deep subterranean places. Zorn feed on certain rare minerals, which are the subject of their quest on the material plane. The jaws of a Zorn are very powerful, and as the creature blends with stone, both in color and conformation and as a physical capability, it is very likely to surprise any other creature. The Zorn is likely to demand such metals as copper, silver, etc. to snack upon, and if a passing creature refuses, the Zorn may try to take the metal by force. These creatures are not harmed by fire or cold-based spells. Electrical attacks do either 1/2 or no damage. A move earth spell will fling them back. A stone to flesh or rock to mud spell will lower their armor class. And a pass wall spell delivers damage. If a combat is going against a Zorn, it will stop fighting, adjust its molecular structure, and pass through the nearest stone to escape. This requires 1 round, and thereafter the Zorn can progress at normal movement through solid stone, earth, or similar substances. So yeah, that's our very last monster, the Zorn. I like its like shingled kind of surface and its little weird mouth, how it's radially symmetrical, and I like that it's intelligent, that You can talk to it, you can bribe it with tasty metal. I don't know if the Zorn is still around. Actually, no, wait, yeah, I'm pretty sure the Zorn is still a thing. I think it even got a, yeah, it even got a Magic the Gathering appearance, recently, when the settings finally crossed over. We can bring up the... Yeah, this, Magic card here, this particular art of this card looks really good to me. I think this is actually the best... I think this is the best looking Zorn since the original. I'm sure it's meant to evoke, like, heavily evoke the old style art. Yeah, it looks like we finished up the book in only, let's see, in only 2 hours. Each previous one of these streams took more than 4 hours. So we made pretty good time wrapping up the 1971 Monster Manual.